All right, so welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Today we're talking about VR and AR in pharma and how companies can benefit from this technology in building better customer engagement.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria and I'm Multi-Channel Excellence Lead here at Viseven.
Yes, hi again. My name is Alex. I'm a Digital Excellence Manager at Viseven.
Well, let us now begin with asking you a simple question. How is tech changing the marketing landscape? Name at least one sphere in our life where technology hasn't left its trace and stepped firmly. To name a few, think of automated machine systems, artificial intelligence, VR technologies, cloud computing, the rapid growth of smartphones. All of these are driving huge changes into our day-to-day life, transforming the way we live, think, and consume information. Today, pharma is greeted with a big challenge of shifting to more efficient ways of HCP's engagement with the recent explosion of VR and AR technologies. Just imagine presenting your clinical data all at once, just using any suitable device, instead of manually sorting out and laying huge rows of useless documentation on the table.
A quick guide to a variety of virtual realities. What makes the difference between virtual technologies available on the market? Virtual reality changes one's visual environment entirely. Once the user has put on the goggles, which are necessary for the immersion, they are completely surrounded with the VR content setting. Everything they see looks quite lifelike, though in fact it's just a simulation. Augmented reality enhances the real-life environment with some computer-generated elements through the lens of smartphone or tablet camera or headset. With AR app or tech, the user still sees what is actually around, but with an extra layer of visuals built upon it. And mixed reality, this is a new evolution stage of AR, allowing to integrate 3D objects and capable of positioning a single object for several users and their devices simultaneously, but differently for each one of them at an individual angles.
Virtual reality has very rapidly shifted from a promising prototype to a viable platform that the healthcare industry will adopt to better understand the science, communicate diseases and therapy options to patients, train medical and industry professionals, and treat certain psychological disorders.
Pharma and life sciences are presented with many opportunities to join the torrent of virtual tech adoption. Most of those opportunities around the type of audience addressed. So we have patients, treatment, and rehabilitation when VR and AR tech is used as a therapy tool, impacting patients' rehabilitation and treatment flow, potentially helping to face psychological challenges as well as take patients' mind off and soothe their physical pain. Then there is doctors enhancing learning or empathy building. AR and VR reshapes education, training, and diagnostic by suggesting learners true-to-life simulations of procedures and treatments. It also provides doctors with a better understanding of patients' struggle of living with certain types of conditions. And there is doctors and patients brand promotion. VR and AR tech enables innovative brand promotion by, for example, presenting medications, mechanism of action, which can be demonstrated as part of conferences, marketing campaigns, and meetings.
Let's now take a quick look at some figures. A report by global industry analysts projects that the worldwide VR and AR market for healthcare will likely reach $5.1 billion by 2025, and it will be a part of an estimated $110 billion in the US VR and AR market by 2025.
Now let's move on from the statistics to valid opinions. Let's take a look at 4 production spectrums offered by VR. Theater mode, 360 world videos, combination of content and images presented on a simulated theater screen can certainly drive deeper engagement with your brand among its potential audience. For physicians, it is for education, If it's for education purposes, VR solutions can help to get an inside view of patients' inner processes and conditions normally hidden from view. For example, how it feels to experience Parkinson's disease or migraine, what symptoms may occur, or to view the whole migraine aura. 360-degree video, the most widely used VR tool. Despite not being able to change users' position while watching, it remains a major provider of virtual experience. With the help of VR equipment, patients may observe how the prescribed drugs and medicines work in 3D just in front of their eyes. Simulated 3D environments. Designing, implementing, and integrating 3D objects into VR world with a special software such as Cinema 4D or Maya, which allows users to determine their own position. For example, audience can interact with your drugs at the molecular level and integrate the data in a 3D world. Gesture-based interactivity. This one has its own peculiarity, ability to recognize users' gestures while interacting with VR objects.
Now we'd like to discuss the similarities between virtual and augmented realities. They both are to make a revolution in education. Except for entertainment purposes, AR and VR technologies both turn trainings upside down. They enable deep diving into the learning process, which ensures much higher effectiveness of the latter. Due to VR and AR, each learner can have a more detailed look at the subject studied, and the main point here is that 3D visualization, because as you know, our brain is processing visual information much faster, that enables better knowledge retention over time. They also give unlimited opportunities for science, as they both prove to be of a high potential in changing the scientific field and medical one included. The technologies open new possibilities for virtual surgery, remote patient diagnostics, post-traumatic stress disorder, phobia, geography and astronomy, automotive manufacturing, and even military. And the best part of it all is that AR and VR are both huge milestones in marketing. Just imagine that you as a marketer could not only deliver key messages instantly, but that your customers could fully engage with your promo materials. That's quite hard to imagine, isn't it? But some of the game changers predict that AR and VR will totally change brands' communication strategies, providing specific mobile apps, interactive print and digital aids, billboards, product packaging, displays, and much, much more.
So now let's figure out what makes the difference between VR and AR technology. Well, first of all, it is its functional principle. Though they have much in common, the main point that differs AR and VR is the technology on the background. And as a result, user experience differs as well. And this difference can be observed through the definitions of two terms. Augmented reality stands for enhancing the real-life environment with some computer-generated elements. So the virtual scenes are mixed with the real ones, overlaying digital details on the real world. And the virtual reality completely replaces the real world with a virtual environment. That means everything you see looks quite lifelike, though in fact it's just a simulation. So while VR devices are aimed to completely detach a person from reality, augmented reality is a consequent response towards delivering information directly into users' eyesight without losing touch with the real world. With AR, you stay in a current physical world with added virtual elements. Hence, it might bring better understanding in terms of users' real-world experiences. For pharma and healthcare marketers, it can become an even more effective tool for HCP's engagement. For instance, for those physicians who may not be able to participate in webinars, live events, or lectures, AR can offer greater alternative while saving time and efforts. And the second point, which makes difference between VR and AR technology, is the equipment needed. The second point actually comes out of the first one. To dive into virtual reality world, you need to use a head-mounted controller or glasses. At the same time, augmented reality mostly uses the commonplace devices like tablets, smartphones, or laptops. Well, sure, it can be also applied through Microsoft HoloLens, though meanwhile the technology is a bit too costly to be that widespread.
Well, now as we're pretty done with the definitions as well as similar and diverse features, let's proceed to the ways healthcare companies can benefit from using AR and VR technologies. First and foremost, as we've already mentioned before, these technologies drastically reshape pharma education. AR and VR empower students to have a closer look at human anatomy by suggesting true-to-life 3D medical illustrations. That gives a better understanding of how all the systems operate by using them in and out. Healthcare provision and patients treatment. Here we can say that AR and VR enable watching diseases flow from the inside, as well as to diagnose even remotely. For example, Bayer has used augmented reality to showcase arterial fibrillation, which is the most common cardiac arrhythmia, and its effect on human brains. And besides, the scientists of Institute for Creative Technologies made use of virtual reality to create a therapy tool which helps soldiers to overcome post-traumatic stress disorders. Its sense is that the system simulates physical shock of an explosion, and in such a way, it can be viewed as a preventive therapy. And finally, virtual and augmented realities enable innovative drugs promotion by presenting its mechanism of action and so on. Thus, both doctors and patients can see how the medication works in an interactive 3D format.
Virtual reality is already working for pharma at full capacity to create new experiences for both HCPs and patient groups. Most of work, though, seems to stand upon two pillars of application: empathy building for patients and deepening learning for HCPs. Both of these uses of technology underline the very human characteristics: capacity to experience emotions and ability to obtain knowledge. Remarkably, VR proved to enable the patients to experience full immersive environments and consequently satisfy some of patients' rather acute psychological needs, potentially helping to face those psychological challenges as well as take patients' mind off and thereby soothe their physical pain. In turn, VR empowers doctors to understand the disease state in the eye of the beholders experiencing it, which could contribute to treatment and diagnosis. Interactive VR steps out of passive observation as it allows the participant to deeply interact and engage with VR world with real-life conclusions and consequences. That's where an immense field of opportunity for pharma healthcare lies.
Erin Fitzgerald, the Vice President of Marketing at Accent Health, says that statistic data show that 96% of physicians agree that virtual reality engagement can be more valuable than websites and other clinical tools which are used for patient education. As healthcare marketers concentrate on delivering immersive, individualized patient experiences, we expect that virtual reality will take hold of that point of care. Consequently, it might educate patients as well as clinicians. For example, in ophthalmology, using AR medical app iDecide, medical specialists can show their patients suffering from specific diseases simulation of the vision. And so far, different apps have been developed for treating diseases and phobias like flying, small spaces, crowds, public speaking, bugs, and driving, and as well as for treatment of depressions and anxieties, stroke rehabilitation, diagnostics, and imaging visualization.
One of the leading strategies for pharma and healthcare marketers is to intensify implementing VR and AR technologies into smartphones. There is no chance to ignore mobile devices to be a relatively fresh channel to appeal to physicians. Actually, it's time to shift the focus a little bit from website engagement to mobile phone apps. So let's take a look at key insights regarding VR and AR in mobile healthcare marketing. It is projected that 110 million VR devices will be shipped by 2021. VR headsets are losing its initial popularity as a lot of home understandably lies in smartphones. With every 2 out of 3 people having owned a smartphone by 2022, it's no wonder that smartphone-based portable mobile VR headsets will soon far outstrip other forms, following PwC recent reports statements. Of the total amount, 88.5% of the headsets will be portable devices that use a smartphone at their core. They're both affordable and benefit hugely from the fast evolution and replacement rate of smartphones. Smartphones are also able to conveniently include standalone AR apps, all of which unburdens the technicalities of delivering the message to the audience. Therefore, it's a safe bet that in terms of VR and AR delivery scheme, industries now prefer to stay on the safe side and invest in less risky options like smartphones.
Powered by digital content factory approach, Viseven services underline VR AR channel development encompass concept creation, technology elaboration, visual and audio design, intuitive interaction creation, custom app creation, and end user distribution.
Viseven VR and AR services include creation and technical build-up of VR and AR scenes to be used for promotion and education, such as engaging doctors into communication during face-to-face calls, internal and external training purposes, raising patients' awareness about the course of different diseases and treatment methods, launching new brands, virtual education and conferences, thus aligning business processes with tech innovations, virtual congress, virtual learning centers or portals as part of engaging channels, full project realization from idea to development to deployment tested previously with the focus groups. No wonder that the bulk of applications is growing daily. The example listed, we're going to list right now, touch upon various implementation cases that we've had a chance of initiating, creating, and facilitating.
For instance, let's have a look at this one. The challenge here is to provide advanced quality of medical information intake and retention, increase physicians' engagement throughout the education process. A solution here may be the HoloLens Classroom, a state-of-the-future education space powered by mixed reality, which allows interacting among doctors and facilitates cooperation on solving true-to-life issues. As a result, by operating the VR headset with hand tracking technology, doctors were able to use natural gestures to select, rotate, and experience the science with the 3D compound models and pathways. Based on physicians' reaction upon completing the demo, we exceeded our customers' expectations of informal value and engagement. This case is of great value for HCP training and education and is held in the virtual classrooms.
Artificial intelligence grants pharma marketers with a comprehensive opportunity to analyze the market dynamics, adapt to doctors' preferences and needs by choosing the appropriate channel for communication, and select the most effective marketing strategy. The challenge with this project was to transform traditional brochures used during face-to-face meetings with pharma reps with an AR mobile application activated by a special trigger, gaining a visualized demonstration for better physician engagement without additional expenditures on devices like headsets or goggles. So we have developed an AR app to showcase ischemia and heart failure and its effect on human heart, automatically converting medical data into 3D dimensional AR models on iPad through an app. And with this application developed for demonstration purposes, we showed how impressively and effectively AR use cases can be. Things otherwise invisible for the naked eye were presented in 3D. The combination of a new technology and printed materials increased engagement with the handout. So this similar case can be used for brand promotion, education at HCP's offices, or live events or congresses.
This example here describes using the created virtual booths. The purpose is to attract visitors to the designated booth at the conference by delivering a memorable and informative experience. To go beyond visitors' expectations, but with cost efficiency and compliance guidelines in mind. In partnership with the client's medical and regulatory teams, we build a story to resonate with the audience observing it. The participants of the conference were immersed in a three-dimensional journey. The emotional message of AR round was well perceived by the conference participants and significantly exceeded the overall coverage of the booth attendees as well as the level of involvement anticipated prior to the event. It's useful for brand promotion for doctors and patients alike and can be held during conferences and events.
So this channel is about 360 video. The challenge was to provide visualization of MOD for driving clinical adoptions, to engage HCPs for further communication, exploration of diseases from a whole new perspective. And the solution was to visualize the mechanism of disease with eye-catching animated images, slide decks, illustrations, allowing to experience a journey through the human body and to illustrate medical content that cannot be shown using real-life film footage. So the outcome was the goal of driving physician engagement was facilitated through an expansive, memorable, and unambiguous visual message of product's mechanism of action. Similar business case can be applied for HCP's training and education, brand promotion at doctor's office.
And the last but not the least case we are going to show you today is the benefits of creating virtual classrooms. The idea here is to improve the learning experience by creating an environment that simulates the real world free of outside distractions, while helping users to maintain focus so they can learn more efficiently. Thus, the virtual classroom that created a virtual learning space for physicians, patients, and caregivers, where they were able to explore patient case studies in detail, practice their knowledge and skills in realistic 360-degree video settings, access supporting materials in different formats, attend case-based web conferences, and even take part in discussions with key opinion leaders. And in the end, with a learning community around it and good customer experience, these classrooms provided an enhanced learning experience with a multifaceted dialogue. The audience participating in demo emphasized time flexibility with possibility of bite-sized learning activities by combining micro-learning oriented content alongside the big sets of information.
So wins of developing AR/VR projects with Viseven: a more advanced representation of complex processes with full immersion for scientific or educational purposes. Audience engagement at events, exhibitions, conferences, etc., with the possibility to interact with the holograms. Working with a virtual patient, helpful for new practical skill acquisition. Placing code on the printed materials, allowing to display virtual content, increasing engagement. So whether you're looking to engage your healthcare providers at the next congress or speaker program, or provide your sales force with immersive educational programs to share with their customers in the field, our team has the experience to help you throughout the entire initiative. So we have covered all the info we wanted to highlight during this webinar regarding VR and AR technologies in pharma and healthcare industries. And now it's time to summarize everything in just several words. So you can see that VR and AR are not just a distant future. They are already actively used by top 50 Fortune pharma companies. These virtual reality technologies are transforming both pharma doctor and HCP patient communication. Well, yeah, sure, in order to make an informed choice which market of virtual technologies to invest in, it is crucial to be driven by the available resources, clear purpose, and good timing. If you want to know how to apply those technologies into your multi-channel strategy, just drop us a line and our innovation experts will be in touch soon with a live demo.
Okay then, we want to thank you for your attention. Hopefully the information highlighted during this webinar was interesting and useful. In case you have any questions or comments, please simply send us a message via email and we will be happy to contact you back. Thanks again for joining us today and have a great day.
Thank you very much again. Have a great day.